thing when you deal with VR is this cord. I will try to not trip over it throughout this presentation. So this is the computer science department. This is the entryway here. You can see these are the controllers, and they look like hands in game. You can also make them grip like this, and they follow along with this control here. Yeah, as I said, this is the entryway here, and in order to move, as I said, you have to hold down this big button, and it creates a teleport arc here to move around wherever you want. So that's the first way of moving. The second way of moving is you can actually walk in real life, and it moves you around in the environment here. Now, what you don't see is there are blue walls around me right now that tell me where it's not safe to move. So it tells me like right here is probably getting close to running into something. It tells me right here is probably too far. So it helps you at least get an idea where you are, and so you don't run into anything. So I'd like to show you first of all one example of the information button. This right here is an example of it. All you have to do is hover over the button, and it gives you a little informational bit right there. So this is like a welcome to the department, and it mentions that this is the main bulletin board for the department. So I'll go around the department and show you a little bit of what I did. As you can see, some things look kind of out of place. Like these pictures are all repeats. That is simply because I didn't want to take the time. I thought it was a waste of time for the scope of the project to make all these pictures exactly like they are in the department. So that's something else for someone else to work on. But first, I'll show you the S19 classroom. There's a little button here that tells you what it is. You can add more to that later. Hopefully, you can recognize this room here as the S19 classroom. And there are some objects around the room here that you can pick up. Now, technology just throw it away. We all have technology computer science, so there's plenty of them around. Don't worry. There's another one. So, oh boy, getting wrapped up in the cord again. So we are at the instructor's desk. This just gives a little bit of information about that there's check mark DVDs, and that there is a marker you can write on the board with. So I'm going to show you how this works. As I said, this is a little buggy, so it's a little weird to pick things up. But you can still write on the board kind of here. It's a little bit 3D though. That's the only thing that I thought was kind of weird. Cool, look at that. It's kind of tricky, but it works. Okay, whatever. So next we have the Mac lab. Much information here. If you touch a computer, it will boot into Windows or Mac. So this is just a really simple thing to add more interactions to the game. So you can just touch it, and there it's on Windows. That's the way it should be. If you really wanted, you could do this, but you don't want that. And throughout here, there's another example of an informational button that could be used to show that you can just bring credits in the lab. So things can be informational too, not just for the fun of it. In here, we have a fully operational photo machine. This just gives you a little information about it, that it's open to all students at an affordable price, and this is all free. So I think I just want some code. Yeah, it is. Okay. I want some code here. No, actually I don't. Yeah, right. So you could get this soda, and then you could do whatever you want with it. It's kind of fun to play the physics sometimes, or to get like super stack and you want to get home. Messy. Okay, let's do that now. Next we have the advanced tab here. This just says you can 3D print in here, and you've got to go to the computer, pick what you want to print. Since this is a Christian university, I think we're going to print a cross first. That's a good choice. Press print on the printer, wait for it to go. it is. A little blue printed banana that we do not need. So let me show you this side of the apartment now. Here we have 120. This is the room. Now, one of the requirements for the presentation, one of the things for the presentation, or the project that I'm supposed to do, is make one room a little more detailed. So this one I tried to add like the outlets to it and the pipes up there to try to get it a little more accurate. And here, we got some little information. So here's some extra papers you don't get taught by elementary Very useful. I got caught without paper many times. Also, these pencils are very huge and you can interact with them if you want to. But the requirement in this one was just to make a fun little golfing game here. So you can grab a little club. That little ball drops pretty good. It runs in the apartment. There's no set goal here because it was just fun to show VR capabilities overall. But yeah, there's a little golfing thing here. And this is a museum. This is not, as I said, object design takes a long time, so I didn't want to design every old object here. So that's something else that someone else could do. These are just boxes, they're placeholders. But it can work really easily. You can just press info, and then you'll be able to display information that's usually posted in the actual part. You go over to here, and this is all that I was supposed to do. We're just supposed to have second with, so I did it. And then the last one, this room, as in real life, we weren't supposed to do much in this room. Sorry, we can find uses for that. But in here, I decided to put a little Easter egg that I found while developing it. It was really easy to implement. Like this. So you press this, and you just get these little beams from your hand. And all this is actually a debugging line, but I thought it was kind of cool. And if you wanted to use this throughout the whole tour, you could, and you could have a longer reach. So that is a quick overview of this VR. Hopefully I don't have red marks from my eyes with it. I'll just go through a couple more slides now. So just talking a little bit more about expectations I had for this project. I had many ideas, but I knew some would be impossible to implement, and so I was kind of prepared for that. And I thought the more ideas I had, the more I could possibly do, because technology is unpredictable, and the new technology is even harder. I expected it to be buggy, but I also knew that it could be functional in the end. And I expected it to be fun, because programming is fun, for me at least, and so is VR. In the actual results, I thought there was success considering the scope of the project. I surprisingly fulfilled the requirements, even though I said they were so loose and unexpected. And I got to add even a little bit extra details that I didn't expect. And it was even less buggier than I expected, although there were some bugs with it. And it was fun, as I expected. And so lastly, I just want to give some advice, because apparently if you do a senior seminar, you're qualified to give advice. And the first thing I'd like to say about the department are that the teachers are the strength of the program, because our department may not be as big or as rich as some other ones in the school, in the state, or in the country, but the teachers that we have here will really help you through it. And if you're struggling with something, they can take time to help you. If you want to look into something that they brought up in class but they're not going to depth, they'll show you. They'll give you opportunities outside of class that I think are just a huge strength of this program. Also, a little bit of advice, don't just go to class. I would recommend having experiences outside of class too. Classes are great, but you learn best by doing. So maybe get an internship, getting a job, talking to the teacher to see if they have any opportunities for you. And lastly, take senior seminars seriously. This is the project that you can look back on in your college career and say, like, I made that. And then you can go and show your employers, possible employers you're interviewing for, I made that, and impress them. So with that, thank you for being here, and I'll take your questions.
So, yeah, I mean, obviously that was awesome. So, now, I want to connect a couple of back to Randy's project here as well. So you've worked quite a bit now with Unreal Engine.
Mm-hmm.
And so then this was kind of adding the VR component to it. So let's hypothetically say that we wanted to take the virtual clean room project and bring that into VR. Based on your experience, based on what you learned from this, what would that take?
It would just take if I had to implement it, I could probably do it within probably like 5 hours, honestly, because it gives a really, really good template and backups and documentation. The only problem is the fact that you probably need to get a separate buy, and there's money there that you sometimes can't convince people for. And then if you do implement it for VR, you're only allowed to be one person at a time. So that's also another factor. You have to buy a bunch of them if you wanted a bunch of people to use this, like in class or something. So that's probably the biggest downside to it. But implementation-wise, it'd be easy.
Okay, and something else you said earlier on, just to kind of put a button on that whole concept, is you mentioned that Unreal Engine had a bunch of tools for VR. So from that perspective, I know Unity also supports the VR stuff. As you were deciding what to use here, obviously maybe you were tending towards Unreal Engine because you'd worked with it before. But what was, based on what you read, based on what you experienced, based on the tutorials you looked at, what's the difference between those two engines? If you're able to kind of speak to that at all.
I didn't really look into Unity that much. I just knew that Unreal Engine was constantly releasing updates for VR support, and I would always watch the update videos and see all the new things they added to it. So I didn't even really need to look into Unity in this case, and I thought I could do more if I did Unreal Engine. So I really can't compare them too much in this case.
Well, something that's very interesting, and Dr. Lochner brought this to my attention earlier today, and I was already looking into it, and this is related to Unreal Engine, is and it's already in beta, so you can actually work with a preview of developing VR in VR. You can use Unreal Engine's entire editor in virtual reality.
Yeah, I actually saw a preview of that too.
Yeah.
I wasn't brave enough to try it though. I think that would. The
Well,
headset does get
come
old
visit
after
me
a
next
while.
week. That's what I'll be doing all next week.
Zach, let me follow up. Oh, I'm sorry.
Just more of a comment, Zach. I think you're underselling the difficulty it is when you're doing something first, and no one here had extensively worked with the Vive before you did, at least in terms of programming it. So I'd like to echo Dr. Lippman's comments that it's awesome, and say that really, I think you did an outstanding job in blazing a trail and laying down a path for other people to follow. I think it was quite outstanding.
Thank you.
I want to echo that. This was excellent. And I appreciated your point, too, about taking senior seminars seriously for those of you coming up. I've had a number of students who have done that and just did exactly what you said, showed that to a potential employer, and that's a really great selling point. So I'm impressed. You did good work.